What's up guys, this is Joel with Car Thoughts, and today we'll be talking about the top 10 cars that you guys can get for around $5,000, especially if you're a car guy. So for the very first car, we're going to be talking about the 2007 G35. There's a couple of different G35s. There's the sedan and there's the coupe. You have the pre-2007 models, which are the DEs. So they're a little bit slower than the HRs. So what I recommend is that you guys check out at least a 2007 and up G35. Now, the cool thing about them is that they come with around 300 horsepower and they have plenty of space inside the car in order to throw your stuff in. They're a great daily. It's a V6. So with that, you're going to be able to get a decent gas mileage. So I would say at least around 22 to maybe 25 miles per gallon combined. That's really going to help you guys, especially if you're the type of guy that is a commuter, you have a long ways to work, or you're going to school. So having a G35 is not only a good starter car for a car guy, but also a good daily. And another cool fact about them is that they're rear-wheel drive. So if you're trying to have some more fun with them, you can. Just make sure you find an undisclosed location, make sure it's in Mexico, and you're good to go. The cool thing about these cars is that you can actually find them for pretty cheap. They got leather seats. Modifications are relatively cheap as well. And that's because so many people buy these cars. A lot of people are into VQ cars or Infinities in general. So you can actually find parts relatively easily. on eBay as well. Geez, there are a lot of cops out today and I'm not really sure as to why. A lot of people aren't even off for work yet, so I'm not really sure what's going on. And now coming in at number 2, and this is a car that I personally was trying to get a couple of years ago, and that is a Lexus LS400. Now, these cars are really just known to be really reliable because they are made by Toyota. If you guys did not know, Lexus was created by Toyota, and Lexus is actually the #1 rated brand for reliability right now. And right after that is Toyota. So they really have it down packed in terms of the quality and time that they put into their vehicles. Now, the Lexus LS400 comes with around 215 horsepower, and it does come with a 2JZ GE motor. The thing about this is, I know you guys are probably getting your hopes up and be like, oh man, it has a 2JZ in it, you know, it's a Supra, 4-door Supra. The thing is that that's not a real Supra motor. It's the non-turboed version. So it doesn't have that much power capability with it. And you can do some NAT builds where you throw a turbo in there and it costs a little bit of money. But in terms of what you can do with this car, it's really endless. People love to modify these cars, turn them into show cars, drift cars. The amount of things that you can do with this car is just endless. It's a rear-wheel drive. Some of them even come in manual. Now, trying to find one for $5,000 for the manual spec it's going to be kind of hard to do, but I'm sure they're out there. It'll be higher mileage. But the crazy part is that if you're just going for a regular automatic, you just want a simple daily, you can find them for around $5,000 with around 150,000 miles on them. And because they have such a huge community, the aftermarket parts are relatively cheap as well, and you can find them pretty much anywhere. And I would say that's the perfect amount of power, especially if you're trying to get your first car or, you know, you're new to the car scene. 200 horsepower is really just plenty for daily use. If you guys don't know what car I'm in, this is my 2015 Lexus RCF. I picked this thing up around 2 to 3 months ago, and the only thing I've done to it so far is Megan Racing coilovers and also exhaust. I've done a muffler and resin air delete on it. And then coming in at number 3, we have the Acura TL. Now, this car is really cool and this car is pretty cool, not only because it's a Honda, but it's also pretty luxurious. You know, you have leather seats on the inside. It's a 4-door. It has like a sport manual mode you can use, especially if you're trying to have a little bit of fun with the car at the light. And you can actually find there's 2 different versions. You have the regular TL, and then you also have the TLS. And the TLS actually has a manual option. It also has a quad exhaust. And a friend of mine actually had an 04 TL. That thing was pretty fun to ride in. It could launch pretty hard, and I would say it's a perfect daily and first car for you guys out there. And this car is a V6, so you're going to be getting decent gas mileage in the mid-20s. The only downside about this car is that it's front-wheel drive, so it's going to be hard to drift it. Could put some trays on there, call it a day, drift it in a parking lot, and that just really sucks because obviously most Hondas are going to be front-wheel drive. But just like the past 2 cars that we mentioned, the aftermarket support for this car is amazing. The community is amazing. There's so much you can do with these cars. Now, next at number 4, we got the Honda Prelude. So this is probably one of the best looking cars on this list due to the fact that they really knocked it out of the park in terms of how sleek the design for this car was. The front end, the back end of the car looks great. The side angles of the car looks great, and it makes around 150 to 200 horsepower. And in my opinion, it's one of the best looking Hondas that was ever made. And because it is a Honda, it's very easy to work on, which is something that you always want to consider when you're looking to purchase a vehicle. Now, next at number 5 is the 2009 to 2012 Corolla S. Now, these cars are going to be slow. They're going to only have around 200 horsepower, 150 horsepower or so. But with the S, they actually come with a really cool body kit. So they have a front lip, side skirts, spoiler. Some of them even come in manual. Has 4 doors, gets around 25 to 30 miles per gallon as a 4-cylinder. It's also super easy to work on. It has a huge community behind it, and the reliability of Corollas is insane. I have a Corolla. It's the LE model, but all I've done to the cars is maintenance, like brakes, oil changes. I just reached 100,000 miles on it, so I have to change out these spark plugs, do another oil change, but it's been great to me. I've literally abused this car, taken it everywhere, hit curbs going 20 miles per hour, and it's never let me down. Now, coming in at number 6, we have the Nissan 350Z. So you guys, I'm sure every single person watching this video has heard of a 350Z. They're infamous for being drift cars. They're drift cars. They sound great with the right exhaust, and you can get them for pretty cheap. Now, similarly to the Infinities, if you get one pre-2007, they're a little bit slower. They have around 200 to maybe like 250 horsepower or so. But if you get the ones 2007 and up, that comes with the HR motor, which gets around 300 horsepower. And the only downside about these cars is that they're small. They're only 2-seaters, right? So they don't have any space towards the back. Like my car right here has 2 seats in the back. There's barely any space back there, but I threw like a backpack, some bags back there. But for a 350Z, there's literally nothing. You have like a maybe little cubby in the back. You have that little hatch in the back as well, but you don't get like a full-on trunk. So it's not really a good daily, I would say. You can daily that car, but if you're looking for something that's not only gas efficient, but also storage efficient, it's not the best car out there, but you can make it work. And out of all the other cars that I've just mentioned on this list, this one by far has the most aftermarket support. People do crazy things like Liberty Walk kits on these cars. They turn these things, they gut these things out, turn them into drift missiles. I've seen tons of them on the drift track all the time. Another thing I wanted to mention as well is that a lot of these cars, because they have such a big community, there's tons and tons of forums, YouTube videos out there reviewing these cars, and then also talking about how to fix them, how to maintain them, just how to work on them in general. So it's going to be really beneficial for you guys to check them out. Now, coming in at number 7, we have the Acura Integra. And I'm talking about the ones from the 90s and also the early 2000s. It's crazy how cheap that you can get these cars for and the amazing builds that you can do with it. And it's not fast by any means, but if you're just trying to have fun with a light coupe that's a manual, there you go. There are some Integras that are so loud, like people put some crazy custom exhausts on them. Like people put these crazy pop and bang tunes on these cars, and they're some of the loudest cars I have ever heard. So coming in at number 8, we have the Mustang GT from the early 2000s. Now, me personally, I don't really care that much about muscle cars or like American cars. I'm more into Japanese stuff. But if I had a budget of $5,000 and I wanted to get an American muscle car, a Mustang GT is one of the ways to go. Get that amazing sound of the V8 with 260 horsepower. And this is coming from a guy that previously owned a V6. I personally don't want to ever go back to a V6 after owning this V8. And that leads us into car number 9, which is the Lexus LS400. This was the first car that Lexus ever made from 1991 to 2000. And you can get these for a steal on Facebook Marketplace. Their motors are so insanely reliable and can take tons of abuse. People turn them into drift cars. They sound amazing. They have a 1UZ motor and they have around 300 horsepower. Now, because it is a V8 like the previous car, the Mustang GT, the gas mileage is not all that great. You're maybe pushing 15, 20 miles per gallon on a good day. But I mean, if your commute is not that bad, then there you go. I personally am looking to purchase one of these cars as well, especially the 1998 to 2000 models, because I think that facelift that the cars had is really great and it just has like an overall better and more modern design. And I also want to purchase another one after that just to turn it into a drift car. And then lastly, at number 10, this is for people that are more into like off-roading and want to have a 4x4, and that is a Toyota 4Runner, specifically a 3rd gen. Now, these vehicles have tons of space. There's tons of modifications that you can do for them. They have decent gas mileage as long as you're not modifying too much and throwing on giant tires. But if you're the type of guy that loves to off-road or wants to have a great daily with tons and tons of space, then there you go. Other than that, you guys, those are the top 10 cars that I think are perfect for new car guys. And you can find all of these for around $5,000. And you also probably noticed that I didn't put any type of European cars on here. And the reason is because if you're trying to get one for around $5,000, say a BMW or like a Mercedes, the maintenance cost is what's really going to destroy your guys' bank account. Sure, you can get these cars for pretty cheap. They're going to have high mileage on them, but they have cheap parts. They have to worry about rod bearings, and sourcing parts for them is really expensive. So I really just don't recommend them overall. But I'm sure there's some out there that are well taken care care of. But if you're a new car guy, I personally don't think that it's worth it trying to put money into them unless you truly know about them or have someone that can work on them for you. But with that being said, those are the top 10 cars that are perfect for you guys, especially if you're new to the car scene. Be sure to list down below which one was your favorite or ones that you think I may have left out. Be sure to like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.